Hello and welcome to Let's Enter the Arena. I'm your host, VM Campos, and this is the podcast where I talk with a member of the Magic the Gathering community, where we focus on Magic Arena. Well, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Hopefully you're beating the heat, staying inside safely, and playing some Arena. I've got a return guest to the podcast that is doing just that. Welcome back, King Omni.
Hello, that is me.
How are you doing so far?
Doing very good so far. I've just finished my cooking stream for today, and I'm doing pretty good.
Let's give the people a chance to find out where they can go watch that cooking stream.
That cooking stream would be on twitch.tv/king_omni. Mondays and Thursdays I cook, Tuesdays and Wednesdays I play Magic. So it's actually just Magic all day, every day. It's Magic on the kitchen or Magic in Arena.
Yes, I might want to go check out your stream. You said you finished a little while ago. Sorry, I missed it. Give us a little recap or like highlights. What did you manage to put together?
So I made something pretty brand new, and it was inspired from a couple of cooking shows that I used to watch back then. I made what is known as King's Butter. And it's pretty much Amish butter that is mixed with flambéed Crown Royal whiskey.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason why it's called King's Butter is because every king needs a crown, so Crown Royal and butter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely got to check that out. That sounds pretty uncommon. I've maybe once in my life tried to make some butter, and that's mostly churning a bunch of cream and maybe adding like salt and stuff, and you get there eventually.
And pretty much I use that as an ingredient in some pancakes, and I pretty much put the rest on top of my pancakes, and they were pretty good.
Do you get much of a flavor of the alcohol?
Not much of the alcohol, but since I used a vanilla variant of it, you do get much more vanilla flavor.
Oh, that's interesting. Sounds like a lot of complex flavors.
Oh, it's actually really good.
I made a banana pudding the other week. I was getting some bananas that were kind of getting to the overripe stage, and I thought, well, what can I do with these before they turn? And I looked up a quick recipe of banana pudding, and it wasn't too complicated at all, and it came out really nice. Although I saw that I had very little bit of the, let's see, what was the thickening agent? Not exactly flour, but there was something there that needed to thicken it up a little bit, and I had very little of it, so it didn't come out as thick as I would have liked, but it was nice flavors.
Okay. Also, there's a banana pudding brownie recipe that has eluded me for some time. Someone has made some, and they won't share the recipe, so I've been trying to figure it out for at least the past couple of months, and I'm getting close to it.
Well, that sounds like it's very esoteric knowledge that they don't want to share.
That's currently my white whale. Is figuring out this banana pudding brownie recipe.
Well, that would sound really interesting because obviously banana pudding is not as not as solid as the brownie, but then it's still incorporating somehow, so it's like the best of both worlds. So hopefully you do figure that out.
I'm hoping to get some insider knowledge on it.
Well, I think that's a good amount of food talk because you're making me hungry, but I'd rather be hungry for Magic at the moment. So let's segue a little bit into Magic now. Okay, well, the last time you were here, we were previewing this brand new hot set known as Ikoria, but then now the new hot set is Core Set 21. Now, before we get into some Core Set 21, any general thoughts now that Ikoria's been out a little while and we've had the change to companions and all of that?
Now that the change to companions has happened, I don't hate them as much as I used to, or specific ones. They're less annoying, but Yorion is still very, very practical, and in modern, Lewis is still aggravating, but that's just a given.
Yeah, it seemed that obviously the lower cost companions. I was just playing myself. I was playing with Kahira because I like to play just fun, weird stuff, and so having a beast deck was really fun where I could just play Kahira right out of its zone with that 3 mana. But now you've got to pay the 3 mana to get it into your hand and then put it into battle, and that could be disrupted. So something with Yorion, however. you usually are just trying to control the board until you've got the mana for it, so it's not as much of a problem.
Mm-hmm. But the one card that I say is now giving me more problems than any other card is Gem Razor, because it stops all of my enchantments and it becomes aggravating at that point.
Yeah, Gem Razor. That one's a big old 4/4, I believe, and then right away it also destroys enchantments and artifacts when you mutate it. And as a person that so you're a judge, if the audience doesn't know, but you're a judge, and now with like all of these interactions about I'm gonna mutate my Gem Razor onto a Llanowar elf. It's causing so many interesting interactions, I bet.
It can be done on turn 2.
Yeah, exactly, and you're already wrecking the other person's enchantment or artifact.
Especially with actually, I don't know. There's very few enchantments and artifacts that come out by then, but yeah, and just use it to completely destroy it and have a 4/4 in the field.
Yeah. So we'll see when the next time companions make their debut. I know that sometimes Wizards makes something very interesting and unique, but then they put it aside for a little while, like when they did Sagas that came out in Dominaria, and Dominaria was in 2018, I believe, and now we're in 2020, and it returned with Theros Beyond Death.
Sagas are actually pretty fun.
I think so. I thought it was cool to see like the 4-chapter sagas in Theros. I wonder if they'll even take it like to 5 chapters or something. But I thought when they first debuted as 3 chapters and they told a story and they did interesting things as they move along, I thought that was cool. And it was nice to see them back again in another set that seemed to support them lore-wise. So any other final thoughts on Ikoria?
Ikoria is fun. I didn't do a lot of drafting after a while, but Ikoria was okay. It was definitely solid. There's some interesting cards that came out of there, and overall, it was a pretty decent set.
Did you manage to get any real life cards?
I did open, I believe, a box of Ikoria. Actually, no, I opened 3 boxes of Ikoria. I take that back, and I didn't keep them all. I pretty much like sold them all.
Yeah. Just kept the good stuff, but then sold off what you weren't going to use.
I actually just sold off everything. I just really wanted to just open up boxes.
Yeah, get a little bit of that tactile aspect of it that's kind of missing from Magic at the moment, right? I opened a few things. I kind of do things in a couple of ways in terms of I like to try to complete a set, at least to get one of each card. And so I opened one box, and then whatever were duplicates and such, I sold those off. But the showcase cards, I really like that like comic book art style, movie poster style of things, because there were a few of the creatures that I liked what their art looked like, but then the showcase version, I liked it a lot more. Like there was Cub Warden, that's that one white cat that when it mutates, it makes some cubs. I didn't like the original art, but I really, really liked the showcase art. What about yourself? What did you think about the showcase style of art?
The comic style art for all of the normal cards, I actually really enjoy. Especially for the Triomes. The Triome arts, I absolutely love all of those. As far as the Godzilla cards, I super fell in love with those as soon as they were previewed. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I absolutely just love them.
Yeah. I thought it was very interesting to go into that direction of here is a property that exists outside of Magic, and let's try to incorporate it. Although they've done it a little before. They had, sort of Dungeons and Dragons, and they had the My Little Pony set.
And the Transformers.
Transformers, yeah. And then now Godzilla. So we'll see what other licensed products are. Maybe one day we will see, a Lord of the Rings Soul Ring at some point.
There is a possibility. I mean, there's so many artists who have probably been commissioned to make Soul Ring Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah.
So who knows if we'll see an official one.
One day we'll be able to battle our Spider-Man versus Venom cards in Magic as well. Well, that was just Overpower in the 90s. They already did that.
Yeah, that might be a little bit too ambitious.
Yeah. Well, That was the last set we talked about when you were on the podcast when it was new and shiny, but now there's another new and shiny set out, which actually is slightly less newer and shiny by the time people hear this. There was a brand new set that came out yesterday. Now, peeking behind the curtain, we're recording this on a Monday. This is coming out on a Friday. But on a Thursday, there's a set that we'll get to. But before that set, a couple of weeks ago, we had Core Set 2021. So general thoughts on just the whole concept of this newest Core Set?
Drafting Core Set is so much fun. It's so fun. I honestly can't tell you how much fun it is. This is probably the set that I've liked to draft the most in, and I still have a few tokens of drafting left to do so in it, and I'm definitely going to get to that. But I enjoy it. I've actually gone like 5 and 3 a couple times, 7 and 2 once. I love drafting this set. As far as constructed goes, I have literally started terrorizing people online.
What's a way that you've been terrorizing them with Constructed 21?
Oh, Historic has become a new favorite format of mine because did you know that in Historic you can play not 1, not 2, but all 3 Teferis?
And oops, all Teferi's deck?
And not just all 3 Teferis, they also have an enchantment that goes with them called Oath of Teferi.
And Teferi's tutelage and all of these other Teferi-centric things.
Oath of Teferi does gross things. And I mean very gross things. First, when it enters the battlefield, it just flickers something. You can flicker a land back to untapped. You can flicker what I usually use it for, an Omen of the Sea to get another card draw. Flicker Teferi's tutelage to get another card draw and mill my opponent some more. But that's the first part. The second part says that you get to activate your Planeswalker abilities twice per turn. And that's where the fun begins.
And how much does phasing have to do with that fun that you're having?
Oh. So if my opponent has it quit by the time I put out an Oath of Teferi and I have 3-drop and 4-drop Teferi out, then they learn very quickly that attacks don't happen for them.
Well, not much happens for them.
Because I'm going to make all of my sorcery spells instant speed, and then I'm going to flick back one of their creatures. And then I'm going to loot twice and then phase out one of their creatures and then loot again.
That's an Azorius, right? You're going with blue-white pretty much. You're not splashing in it. You don't need to splash anything else with so much on board.
No, I just need blue-white, and that is all. It is cruel control without black. It is the cruelest version of control.
People were joking that, okay, we had 5 mana Teferi and it was pretty strong, and then we got 3 mana Teferi. People were joking there was going to be 2 mana Teferi, so they put it at 4 mana, but it's mono blue, so that's not as much of a problem as if it's the 2-color Teferi.
No, it's actually not.
What do you think about there being so many alternate arts of the new Teferi?
I actually do like them. I kind of wish there's a way to reflect that in Arena, but I'm pretty sure they'll probably figure out something maybe to have like an animated Teferi to where the time squirrels are going around his person in the card, but who knows?
Yeah. That's the one that I wish they had made it a little bit more obvious that stuff was going on, because yes, I've seen it like on Scryfall when you load them all up and kind of flick through them with your mouse, you can see the animation, but obviously you don't really see it anywhere else. If you've got a copy of each one of those in hand, in real life, I suppose you can flick them all, but then you'll damage your cards. But I wish they had made it more obvious, like maybe the background was changing. Maybe it was like the past of Dominaria and then the current Dominaria. Maybe it's he's phasing through the various times. Like here he is when he was in the time of Ice Age, and here he is during the time of, Urza and Mercadian Masks time and whatever. So I think that would have been fun.
But 4-drop Teferi, he's just a solid card. I love the design of him, love the art style that has been chosen for that card, and I enjoy playing the card.
Now you said also you liked drafting Core 21. What are like maybe some archetypes or strategies that you've found that you've enjoyed to terrorize your opponents on draft?
Boros is great. Just Boros is great. The one draft I went 7-2 in, I managed to get the Hound Master in both dogs, and that was just real good. Plus, I also got Brash Tonner with I think it's Brash Tonner.
Yeah, something Tonner.
Goblin that just like deals damage straight to face.
Yeah.
That card stops attacks.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a creature with trample, that card will literally stop combat.
Mm-hmm. Is that the fixed stuffy doll, or just a variation of it because now it's in red instead of being colorless?
Yeah, it's a red stuffy doll.
Yeah. And then if you manage to equip it with even imagine that with a Colossus Hammer equipped.
Yeah, or in my case, since I didn't have Colossus Hammer, I used a Dub.
Uh-huh. That's a +2/+2 or +1/+1?
+2/+2 in first strike as long as you're in first strike.
Yeah.
But if you're not attacking with it, then you just pretty much start fighting other people's creatures.
Yeah. That's pretty fun when they go into these sorts of directions about here's an indestructible 1/1. When you hear indestructible, you think, wow, that's really powerful. But it's just a 1/1 indestructible, but it does shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. And then you basically just build onto that. Just build a monster that your opponent just has to deal with now.
Mm-hmm. I've also liked the draft. I'm trying to remember what the best record I did was, but probably something like 5-3, maybe 4-3. This last one that I did on Saturday on stream, we had me and the stream had fun building it, but I think I only went 2-3. And I was trying to do Boros, and sometimes it just feels like things do definitely jump out because I think I'm seeing some of the strategies come together, and I put it together, and it just didn't go as good as the other times because I have done Boros other times and it works. Sometimes also blue-white flyers. So I think there's a good amount of interesting range of cards, and there's some really powerful things. Like if you pull that Baneslayer Angel, that's almost like an I Win card with 5 mana.
Yeah, blue-white flyers has been pretty good, especially with the ghost that bounces a non-spirit back. It's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. That's like the new generation of Mana War, vaguely. You get a flyer, it does some disruption, and unless your opponent has that spirit, but I don't think that's too much of a stipulation.
Mm-hmm. But it definitely works well as basically some extra tempo. You just bounce a creature that they have back, and you basically get to either do an attack, or if you just need to buy some more time before it just comes to face, this card is just real good.
Yes. Beautiful art on that too, as usual. It's like a very ethereal, glowing spirit. As usual, the magic art is a home run. So it's kind of interesting when you see this new art with kind of classic art, because Baneslayer Angel, that one was first published way back in Magic 2010. So that's that's art from 10 years ago, and obviously it's very good. But it's interesting to see the older style of art with the newer style. And when we get to Jumpstart, there's one card that was published in 1999, the art that came back in 2020, and it's just interesting to see that contrast. But what did you think about the art and there's no actual story, but what did you think about the art and just the Vorthos aspect of Core 21?
So overall, Core 21, just how the set plays, the art direction that's taken on it. Overall, I really enjoy this core set. Mostly because I was a big fan of Dominaria, and basically just it's a fairy based set. And with how this set is done, it kind of gives me it kind of reminds me a little bit of Dominaria.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe even now, this set hasn't even been fully broken open yet. There's still a lot of cards that a lot of people just have yet to touch that can be completely just busted wide open.
Mm-hmm. trying to figure out the most efficient way to cram Ugin the Spirit Dragon into every deck.
Yeah, so uh, that I've also that's pretty much my standard deck. Is I play Band Control for standard, and yeah, Ugin does Ugin things.
Yeah. I never played that card when it first debuted, which was back in Fate Reforged.
Fate Reforged. I played that card in pre-release because I was the only one who opened one.
Oh, wow.
And I opened it pack 1.
And it was a draft? No, wait, that was sealed, right? That was the pre-release sealed?
Yes, it was pre-release sealed. It even had the like little Ugin mini game where if you did like certain things, everyone would get I think the special packs or something.
Okay, or what was that?
I think it was either the special packs where everyone got the alternate art Evolving Wilds, which are actually pretty cool and still kind of worth a little bit to this day. But the Ugin's Fate packs were super, super interesting, and I'm actually it actually reminds me of when I did a double-headed giant with a friend of mine. The team who sat right across from us, the person who sat directly across from me, opened the Ugin's Fate variant of Ugin, and I was real sad about it.
I'm looking at it right now, and it does look pretty pretty interesting, pretty different. So those were both. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't playing at that time, Fate Reforged. I got back into it in 2017, so it was a little bit before my time, but you were saying that there was, like, different... if you can just explain it a little bit more, there was an Ugin's Fate version and such?
Yeah, so there were these Ugin's Fate packs that were passed out in pre-release. And each pack had, like, a different variant of a Fate Reforged card that was, like, a different... It was pretty much different art. Excuse me. It was a different art for a whole bunch of different cards, and if you were lucky, one of those packs had a Ugin Spirit Dragon in it, and it had different art as well. So with that being said, like if you open it, you can obviously play with it, but at the time those cards were coming out, and they were worth like $125, just like on pre-release, and they just never have gone down because they're so rare to find now.
Okay. I guess that was like an early, vaguely sort of like VIP booster now that they're doing, although it was part of the pre-release. You couldn't quite get them past the pre-release?
Yeah, once pre-release is over, they just pretty much disappeared. Unless you had like some store that was just like either selling them or giving them away or whatever, I'm not entirely sure. But I know for the pre-releases that I were done, there were so many people at the pre-release, like they just ran out of packs naturally.
I'm looking at the price right now in Scryfall, and it's still around $130, so it's really held its value.
It just it hasn't changed.
The current one from Core 21 is still $20 or so, obviously way less than that very unique one, but even the Fate Reforged one is about $30. So yeah, everyone wants that Ugin. I've been trying to. I was just playing earlier today with a historic. It's just huge historic creatures. It's how fast can I ramp into little Ugin and then big Ugin and then Ulamog. And I played it a few times and it works pretty well. Got a lot of cultivates in there and. What else? That one, I guess Circuitous Route, I think? And it's just, you can get pretty fast to 10 mana and such, pretty fast with the right green strategy, and then the opponent's middling around with their 4 mana, and then you bring out a 10/10 Ulamog, and then exile their lands, and then they GG you.
I think with that, I've kind of been wanting to play a Mardu Reanimator shell. And the red would pretty much go to basically looting in the looting into the graveyard, and then the black and white would go into playing just reanimation spells like Unburial Rites.
There's also the new like 5 mana on burial rights, but obviously you want to go back to the good one, the lower cost one.
Yeah, unfortunately, for the lower cost reanimation spells, they have some restrictions that just aren't very great, or like the good reanimation spells that were coming out in Jumpstart, they just aren't going to be in historic whatsoever. It's
Yeah.
already been pre-taken out, unfortunately. But I think it's also for the best.
Probably. I think they've got some smart people playtesting and trying to figure things out. And then when you've got the whole hive mind of the internet playing nonstop, they'll definitely figure it out. So preemptively removing a few cards there would make sense.
Yeah, because Reanimate was one of the first cards that they listed that says would not be on historic, and I was just like, that's a good idea because turn one, like looting an Ulamog in the graveyard, and then turn two playing Reanimate. Yeah, you lose 10 life, but you have an Ulamog on the field.
Yes. You've exiled their one land or two lands, and then you've got a 10/10 that's going to mill them for 20.
Mm-hmm. Or if you happen to somehow get a footfall crater on one of your lands, and that becomes even much more scary. That becomes scarier.
Yes.
Because now this 10/10 has haste and trample.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of shenanigans with when it comes to efficient mana.
Yep, so that was pretty much a good idea when they definitely did that. However, some of the cards I don't agree with, like Bolton Path, I wanted to see in Arena. I still want to see them. Like those are just. How can you not allow those cards? They're such iconic cards.
Which one did you say?
Lightning Bolt.
Oh yeah,
and
the
Path
Bolt and
Exile.
Path. Yeah, I thought you said Molten Path, and I'm like, what card is Molten Path? No, Bolt and Path. Yes, exactly. Very efficient. 1 mana spells to deal with stuff, and so you are in the camp that like a 1 mana Lightning Bolt is a little too much in standard.
In standard, yes. In maybe historic also might be a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
But Path probably would have been fine.
Yeah, because you've got like these really huge creatures that do a lot. You've got Uro, you've got Questing Beast, and they're not that hard to get into. So maybe having some answers for that, some removal. Yeah, there's a little life trade-off there, but so yeah, the list. I thought there was a list on the WotC website that showed what was being replaced for what, but I couldn't find it because I've got the page where it lists everything that it's not going to be in historic, but I seem to remember that they had like a chart that showed this is what we are removing but replacing it with. Do you remember seeing anything like that?
I haven't seen the list of what was being replaced. I just saw the list of what was being taken out.
Yeah, like I said, I'm having some kind of memory, and I'm pretty sure it happened. I'm pretty sure I read an article somewhere on Daily MTG that said we're replacing Lightning Bolt with Lightning Strike. I seem to recall there was some like one-to-one comparison of what everything was. I don't think it was like some other like third-party Magic site, but I think it was the official WotC site. But anyway, I can't find it. But yeah,
It's weird because Lightning Strike is already in historic from the Ixalan set.
yes, yes, I'm trying to remember where I read that at, but I thought some of them were like very weird. Like, okay, this was a really good, interesting card, but then you're replacing with something like doesn't even make sense what you're replacing with. But I'll try to find that a little bit later. But
That looks like those are in the packs they're being replaced. Okay, that is a little bit more understandable. So some of the cards that are being replaced in the packs that you open up are being replaced with cards that are already arena, like already working with arena.
oh, okay.
So instead of Path of Exile in the pack, you will get Banishing Light. Instead of like Lightning Bolt, you'll get Lightning Strike, or Ball Lightning, you'll get Lightning Serpent. That I can understand.
Okay.
I don't like it, but I understand it.
Yeah. So the Jumpstart, that on the one hand they announced here's a whole new bunch of sets coming out, but then on so we kind of knew what's coming. But then on the other hand, then they started to reveal that it's like almost 500 new cards, and not all 500 are coming to Arena. And we're gonna get most. They're gonna get them in real life, of course. But that's kind of like a huge set to jump in a lot of interesting things into historic. So, what do you think about seemingly Wizards' push into making another big format in Arena?
I don't think so. I think if any big format comes to Arena, it would probably be. It wouldn't be anything new. It'd probably be something existing already. But I don't see that happening for quite a long time, because as long as it took for them to just constantly allow brawl on Arena,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be a while before we see another big format.
I guess standard is what pays the bills, and the other things are an investment in time and effort and resources. But I really think that if the sooner they put more formats like Magic Online into this new flashy format of things, I think the more people will come and sign up and pay for things. I don't have any real data to back it up, of course, but it just feels like the more ways to play Magic on Arena, the more people will play Magic on Arena and spend on Arena.
That's true. I know there's just quite a few people who don't like the flashiness of Arena, just like the simplicity of Moto.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much one of the main reasons why it's still around and still kicking while it is. There's just people who just don't like the flashiness of it. Don't like the huge animations of it. They just want to play simple Magic as if they were playing the actual card game.
Yeah. I'm surprised there isn't a setting to fully kind of dial all of that back just to the simplicity of it. And now with people saying that every new update sort of like slows their computer down even more, I'm surprised that there isn't a way just to turn all that off.
And also, it's not even. It doesn't feel like it slows my computer down. It just feels like the servers that connect between matches is what's getting slower and slower. It also goes away like after a couple days, because I think it's just like server being overloaded with so much stuff.
When things are new, everyone's jumping on and trying out their free credits and all of that and just brewing everything. So yeah, I'm sure that they've got a bunch of data behind the scenes that they could look at about like this is the most popular day and time of the week, and I would love to see some of that data because I love that sort of stats and stuff, but I doubt they'll release that.
Oh yeah, that's probably a lock and key.
Yeah. So have you been doing much brewing? Any? So you said you had in standard like that. Oops, Alta Fairies. What? Anything else that you've kind of been putting together in construction?
So I'm working on a Golgari list, and it's not quite done yet, but it's pretty much a. It basically is just if you have creatures, this deck is fixing. It's bound to kill them one way or another. Just generates value. It basically, if I have creatures and I want to generate value with Fiend Artisan or Skoos, depending on which graveyard I'm going for. If I know that I'm going to get rid of one of your creatures immediately, I want Chevelle on the board, and then the rest of the deck is just kill spells and Vraska.
How many Vraskas do you need in that deck? All 4 or 1 or 2 to get the job done?
Just a couple. Not quite all 4 because I'm still have other ways of just generating value and making sure that creatures just don't stick on the board. But Vraska does come in handy when I need to get rid of like something cheap that's not a creature, like an enchantment or maybe like 3 drops of fairy.
Yeah. And then that nets you a card when you sacrifice your own thing, right?
Which actually pairs very well with Treacherous Blessing.
Treacherous Blessing. Trying to remember that one. What does that one do?
Enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards, and every time you cast a spell, you lose 1 life. But if you sacrifice the Nebraska, then as soon as it comes down, and you basically just draw 4 cards and gain a life for 3 mana.
Mm-hmm. That's one of those classic black cards in terms of if you're going to play black, you've got to, put your whole self into it. Here's a treacherous blessing for you, all this great card draw, but every time you play a spell, you're going to get pinged yourself, and if you're not careful, you can wipe yourself out while you're trying to reach for the stars.
Just like Bolus' Citadel.
Yeah, I love that one. Definitely, I put it in most of my black decks, and that one, it can really get away from you if you don't pay attention to that life loss. And there's been at least one time, and that's way too many times, where I've tried to do the Murderous Rider off the top of the deck from Bolus' Citadel, and I remember, yes, I got to pay that 3 life for the Treacherous Rider for the Swift End part of it. But whoops, I also forgot you have to pay the 2 extra more because you Swift Ended it, and then that was 5 damage to myself, and that killed me.
Mm-hmm.
Too close to the sun and you get burned.
Yep, a little bit too close to the sun. I've actually been playing a mono black. Well, when I started with the set, I've been playing a mono black control style deck.
Mm-hmm.
It has Bolus' Citadel in the sideboard, and you can actually tutor it up. But the mono black control is basically just black is for kill spells, and the rest is colorless spells and for artifacts or planeswalkers.
Ooh, that sounds kind of fun. It sounds like what I would like to play. If you can drop that in my Discord at some point, I'd love to see that that deck list if you'd like to share it.
Sure. It's basically a wishboard type of deck.
Sure.
Because Karn's going to pull something out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah.
And you get to play 6-drop Ugin, and you get to play an 8-drop Ugin, which can become another 6-drop Ugin if you have your first one out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was seeing in the mono green Ugin Ulamog historic deck, where if you can get out 6-drop Ugin, that'll make your other 8-drop into a 6-drop, and then get out that Ulamog even faster. So it's just fun how they all kind of combo with each other with those cost reductions.
Mm-hmm. And Maze Mind Tome has actually been fantastic as a card. Very underrated right now because it's not seeing as much play, but definitely a fantastic card. 2-drop artifact that you can scry for free, or if you pay 2 and tap it, you can draw a card and you put a counter on it. And once it hits 4 counters, it goes away and you gain 3 life.
4 life.
Oh yeah, you gain 4 life.
Yeah, I've been using that one too. I really like it. It's like a variation on treasure. What was that Ixalan one that would flip treasure chest? Treasure something? Treasure map?
Treasure map.
Treasure map. So I've kind of a variation on it, and you can sink mana into it to draw the card or simply scry. I definitely have liked that, and a little bit of extra life. So for only 2-drop. So the curve has been in that sort of like ramp into things deck that Maze Mind has really helped to smoothen out the draws with that scry.
Mm-hmm. So it is definitely a fun card. Definitely underrated in my opinion. I honestly have not seen it as much around or being played. But that card is definitely... I actually think I saw people talking about playing it in Modern. I've heard some talks of it being played in Eldrazi Tron.
Well, it's definitely in a good curve. The lower the mana cost, the better, and with different things you can get out of it, that I could see it play there.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're missing like a land drop, and you have 2 lands out, you play it, and at the end of your opponent's turn, you scry, and at the beginning of your turn, you scry again. Basically, get to look at 2 or 3 cards if you really need to.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget about that sometimes, that it's you got to set your stops so that before you do your draw. That's one of the things that I noticed that Arena makes it, unless you're like in complete full control, that you can miss that, like that action before your draw.
Mm-hmm.
What about any brawl? Do you do any brewing with any brawl decks?
So I haven't touched Brawl in actually a while. The last time I touched Brawl was, I believe it was a Korea with Keenan, because he's my last Brawl commander that I've had. But outside of him, there's really nothing new that I have tried or anything I've done. Usually, if I want to play Brawl, I'll either play Keenan or I'll play Yarok. Those are just my two commanders.
Did you do very many impressive things with a Keenan deck? Because he's the one that triples or doubles the mana dose?
He adds an additional mana. Keenan plus Nyx Bloom Ancient makes mana go wee. So it's usually just a bunch. It's pretty much my version is a big mana deck. And if I had a way to splash red, it would be a little bit more ridiculous.
I definitely see people piloting that very well in terms of, okay, I'll do my like Paradise Druid first, and maybe one more mana dork, and then Keenan is out, and then suddenly all the mana comes out.
Yeah, and it's a strategy I like with my Senators. It's just very big mana strategy, where my opponent either taps out or they just don't have anything to respond with, and I just make an obscene amount of mana to just play really big and dumb things.
Speaking of big and dumb things, I've kind of had a little bit of fun with a mono red Brawl deck that is helmed by Gadrick, the Crown Scourge. This is the 3-mana 5/4 dragon, but it cannot attack unless you've got 4 artifacts. And when at the end of your turn, when a creature dies, create a treasure, so you can get it attacking. And I've had fun with that in terms of because when I like to build decks, if I want to get competitive, I'll look at like what the pros do when they build decks. When I want to climb the ladder, when I want to make my own decks and just have fun, like in Brawl, I made this one, and it's basically got all of the dragons that are in Standard. So like Terror of the Peak and all of these fun dragon cards, and then a bunch of burn spells and a few equipment like Shadow Spear, of course. And that deck's been pretty fun, torching all my opponent's mana dorks, or just like killing their own Brawl Mander that comes out, and then just ramping into dragons. And when you've got the Terror out, when any new dragon gets summoned, it then deals damage based on that power to any target. So you can really kind of control things with that mono red dragon deck. I call it, actually on my deck list there, I call it Dragon Brawl Z.
That's pretty good. As far as M21 Dragons, my focus has been actually more towards Terror of the Peaks.
Yeah.
That is a very nasty dragon to deal with.
Yeah. I got into the Red Bull Untapped tournament this past weekend, and I forgot that when you play on Standard, you can have more than one of those on the battlefield, and it was a pretty fast end for me.
Yep. Once 2 of them hit the battlefield, if you have no way of like instantly getting rid of them, then the game is pretty over.
Yes. Because they just feed into each other. You've got one terror out, and another comes out, and it triggers the first terror, then you've got 2, and then whatever else you summon, you're getting that double damage.
And now I'm going to build a Brawl deck that is based around that.
It'll probably be a little bit more powerful if you build it with that Terror of the Peaks, but just for like my whole stipulation of it all, I like the low cost 3 mana Gadrick, just because you can keep summoning it a little bit faster, and I think that's kind of like a fun mind game for your opponent that I just killed it and it's back again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always been a point where I wanted to play Mirror March more in like some kind of red deck, and with Terror of the Peaks, that absolutely sounds like the best / worst combination to have that somebody's going to have to deal with, where you just Terror of the Peaks into a Mirror March and hopefully flip like 4 or 5 successful flips just in the game right there.
Yes. And even if you don't flip that many, if you also had Fiery Emancipation out, then that's even more fun.
See, now that I'm building this deck as actually we have this talk, and that's also going to go in the deck.
So in the deck that I have now, I do have that. I have the Fire Emancipation, and I equipped a Shadow Spear onto one of these dragons, and I had the Emancipation out, and it was doing like 18 points of damage with one dragon.
That is gross.
Yeah.
That is actually physically making me ill, and I love it.
It's giving you a fever with so much dragon breath out.
But I mean, it's just the things that like Red wants to do is just make like just do really enormous dumb stuff like this, and it's great.
Mm-hmm. It's just like all shock and awe because I've also got in there the Skargan Hellkite, so it's a 4/4 for 5. It's got Riot, so it can attack in haste or give itself a counter, and then you'll be able to pick off things.
Yep, and I'm going to have the commander be Torbrand because, why not?
He'll be the dragon lord of it all. Move over, Sarkhan. Well, I have Sarkhan in there too, actually, because then he becomes a dragon for a moment. And what I love about having Sarkhan out and then one or two other dragons is that whenever, the opponent never reads the card. They see there's a Planeswalker, gotta go attack it. But they go attack the Planeswalker, and what Sarkhan does is it makes all your dragons deal 1 damage to the attacker. So they're sending, a 1/1 or a 2/2 or whatever at Sarkhan, but there's at least one dragon out, and all of those dragons fry the thing that's attacking, and it never gets any damage through.
Oh, yeah. Like you can go attack that Planeswalker if you want to, and then like all these dragons just straight up kill whatever's attacking it.
Yeah, that's when I definitely see Arena slowing down, multiple things attacking, and then I've got 3 dragons out, and each one's pinging each one, and that's when I see my connection stutter.
And then you're just like, all right, how do I get through this?
Yeah. Well, final thoughts on Core 21, and we'll talk a little bit more on Jumpstart.
Core 21's fun. I love it. If you don't love it, then I'm sorry. I may have played Triple Teferi against you, and I absolutely do not apologize for what I did.
Teferi does what Teferi will do.
Yep, and Teferi does quite a bit.
Yeah. I haven't noticed, but did they give him any new voice lines in his newest incarnations, or is it still the same ones about
I think they gave him a couple new ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't specifically remember which ones, but I do think they have given him some new ones.
Yeah. That's pretty fun that they have these actors bringing these characters to life, and some of the phrasing is a little bit more fun than others, but I like how they give them personality.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish that they also gave some voice lines to Rin and Seri, my final pick for Core 21.
I don't know how they would do that, but it would be interesting.
Well, I know exactly how they would get the voice actors that did Ren and Stimpy.
That would actually be really funny.
Yeah. In the beginning, I just kept calling them Ren and Stimpy, and actually, I had Matt Tabak, senior editor of Wizards of the Coast, on last week's episode of the podcast, and he also slipped up at one point and said Ren and Stimpy. That's maybe what they were calling it internally.
I remember Matt Tabak before. He's very tall.
Yes, he mentioned that a few times in the podcast, that he's the resident reacher up to the top of the shelves person at the office.
Yes, I've met him at a Gen Con 2018, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that is one very tall human being.
Yes. He had a lot to say. He gave some secret intel that Karuga originally started. So right now it's a dinosaur hippo, the type line, right? It originally started as a squirrel crab.
Why couldn't it have been a squirrel crab?
I have no idea how that would have even looked, but we got a nightmare squirrel, so I guess close enough.
True, but also squirrel crab. I mean, squirrel crab.
Yeah, and that's what its name should have been. It should have been squirrel crab, and it was legendary. Squirrel Crab. Just like we have Skeleton Archer is a skeleton and an archer.
Yeah, just when you and it's just funny like thinking about that. It's just like that's probably one of the greatest combinations of archetypes. Like that's not even something that you would have gotten in the previous, I believe it was Unset, where you could combine creatures.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a new archetype that we haven't seen yet. And now, unfortunately, we won't get to see that.
Well, maybe because it seems like Wizards saves stuff and then eventually it comes out 1, 2, or 20 years later. So I'm sure they'll put it in their back pocket and we'll see it eventually.
We'll probably see it sometime soon.
Yeah. His episode was the one that I had to break into 2 parts because we talked for almost... How long did we talk? Almost 2 hours. So I put out part 1 2 weeks ago and then part 2 last week. And it was just a really cool conversation that we had all about the inside world of Magic. Well, Jumpstart, that's the latest and greatest set. So like as I said, if people are listening to it right now on Friday, it came out yesterday, but we are recording at the beginning of the week, Monday the 13th. And Jumpstart has been fully spoiled, and that's a brand new type of set where I feel like it's a very good, like, beginner-friendly set, and like, here's some boosters, mash up together and play. You don't even have to put a mana base together, apparently, but I want to see how that plays in life because I still don't quite believe it. But the booster packs are 20 cards, and you mash them together and make a bunch of interesting archetypes. So, general thoughts on Jumpstart?
It used to be something that we kind of did in between rounds of like F&M a few years ago. And saying that actually kind of makes me sad because I actually used to go outside for F&M and I have not done so this year. But anytime between rounds, we would just like take random packs and take 2 of each land, mush them together, and then just like play literally off the top. We'd draw some cards and then just play as is. And now to see that as an actual thing, as an actual product, is actually pretty neat.
One year at Comic-Con, in between the rounds, there was I forgot the name of the format, but it was just you played your opponent with just 1 booster pack, and I think it was when it was Core Set 2019, if I recall. So you just get some lands, you get 1 booster pack, and you play the other person with whatever cards are in that. So this is just there's just so many ways to play Magic besides their standard, modern, pioneer, historic, whatever. There's just like, hey, get 1 booster pack, some lands, and play.
And now it's just you, and now you pretty much have this product that supports that, and it's definitely going to be interesting it's going to be fun to play with, I believe.
So I'm an advisor to a card club, but we haven't met since the end of last year just because of the pandemic. Well, I guess back in January or so we played, I guess. But this would be perfect if we ever get back to playing in real life that way in the clubs. This would be perfect to have a booster box of that, and then when people want to join the club, we'll say, here it is, just get 1 of these, and you're going to put together this unicorn deck plus zombies, and you'll have fun. But the only problem, of course, is that the set has like a range of like fun intro cards plus powerful new cards and reprints, so I think it's got a little bit for everyone. It's almost like a core set, but obviously focused because each pack has a certain theme. But I just mean that there's such a range of types of cards for everyone.
Pretty much all new players and old players alike I would say they would definitely enjoy this new product.
Yeah, let me see here. This is the one that I wanted to say. Black Market. So this is 5 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on a black market. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add black for each charge counter on the market. So I think for making absurd amounts of mana, that could be a pretty fun card, although it's 5 mana itself. But this is one of these that this art was originally printed way back in Mercadian Masks, 1999, so as I scroll through the spoiler and then see all of this modern art, and then I see this one, like, hey, this one looks a little bit different than the other art. Not bad, of course, because Magic art has always been amazing, but it's just interesting to see this classic, literally 20-year-old art versus in a set where a lot of the other cards are like the most modern style of art.
Mm-hmm. You also, yeah, just old school art like that. Even you have a dual cast of age, which is coming back with its old art. And then you have your very super iconic cards like Linvala making a comeback, or Core Spirit Dancer. Just these cards that you know very well, and here they come back with the same iconic art that we just know them from.
Mm-hmm. I kind of love the details sometime, or I would like to know some of these details sometimes. In terms of, I would love to see these cards ordered in like their age, just to see what's interesting about what they decided to go back into the vaults to reprint, like Black Market first printed way back in Mercadian Masks. That we've got Izamaru, the Hound of Konda from original Kamigawa. That's also when was that? Kamigawa was first from way back in 2004. So it's really cool that they can mix. It's really cool just the concept of Magic, that you can mix these cards that are 5, 10, 15, 20 years old and still put them into a set with like the most cutting edge brand new cards and put together some interesting decks and strategies.
Mm-hmm. So I am super excited to definitely play this set. Hopefully I can find some people to play it in paper, some people who I know that are taking proper precautions and staying safe.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? I was just saying, who knows just exactly what we will see once it comes up. We'll just have to pretty much wait it out.
Yeah, it's just going to be a waiting game for a little while, and it was kind of interesting to think way back in like March when all of this started. And so like I said, I'm an advisor to the local college club, and what they were doing at that time, what the administration was saying, well, spring break is about to come at the end of March. We're going to shut down the school for the week of spring break, the week before spring break, and the week of spring break, and in those 2 weeks, we're going to sterilize the school. And like that's kind of naive to think that was going to get things done. And here we are in July since all of this started, and don't want to deviate to it too much, but it looks like, we didn't quite learn our lesson, and we're going to have to get locked down even longer. And I don't know, this is just very interesting times. On the one hand, it's stressful and annoying and it sucks and all of that, but in another way, you can think about it, wow, the year 2020, all of this has gone in the world. I lived through it. And I have something to think about in the future.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. So, any kind of plans of for Jumpstart possible brews?
Jumpstart brews. Honestly, it's pretty much going to just be all play by ear. Whatever card I feel like I should go in something, it'll definitely go into. One card that I'm most excited about coming back is Gonti, Lord of Luxury. This is one of my favorite cards from Kaladesh.
Let me see that again. So it's 4 mana, 2/3 Death Touch. When Gonti enters, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library, exile one of them face down, then put the rest at the bottom. You may look at that and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. And okay, cool. So you kind of steal people's stuff.
You basically steal a card off the top 4 of your opponent's library.
And I bet if you can flicker it, you'll get that. You'll have 2 possibilities to work with, or does that first one go away if you flicker it?
No, it stays. It's an ETB effect, so it basically, if you flicker it, it just keeps happening.
Well, that's pretty fun. Did you play? You said it was your favorite from Kaladesh. How did you play with Gonti back then?
With Gonti, it pretty much It was definitely a good card to use against the the what is that artifact? The 4-drop. It's a good card to play against the energy decks because you get to not only still like the energy producing cards, also you would take out the big payoffs to those decks. Which
Like
at
the
the time,
Aether Flux Reservoir, perhaps?
not Aether Flux Reservoir. It was I will think of it shortly.
Yeah.
But you definitely get to take out like big cards out of those. It's like at the time, Emrakul and Ulamog were actually big cards because it was around the Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah.
It was around the Battle for Zendikar standard as well.
Well, I think at that time probably Battle, Shadows over Innistrad, and then Kaladesh, right?
Yes, it was Battle Swords and Innistrad, and there was a mythic artifact that I cannot think of off the top of my Aetherworks Marvel. That's the one.
No, okay.
That's the card that it definitely put a hamper into. Because most of the time when you were playing black, you were going to start picking out their hand anyway, and then you just start picking off their payoff cards off the top of their deck, and you start using it against them.
Yeah. Total insult to injury. They just need to reprint Torok's him to Torok, and then I'll be happy.
Well, insult to injury was a different set, but
Yeah.
oh, and going along with Ganti, my next favorite card was also in there, Panharmonicon, which is a doubling effect on enter the battlefield triggers.
Yeah. So you get to steal double the things. So I guess the official ruling is you look at the first 4, do the exile of it, then it doubles it, and then you look at the next 4. But I guess the net result is you get 2 things off of 8 cards deep.
Yep. So you play Panharmonicon, which says if an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it didn't just have to be the creature that entered the battlefield or the artifact. If something like triggered the artifact that was already in the field, it would also trigger twice. So at the time, I was playing a 5-color Panharmonicon deck because I absolutely was a madman. And there was just like everything that you could want that just triggers twice. This is the deck for it. Get all your colors out, and you get a Panharmonicon out, and you just do very, very silly things.
You do the best of every single color twice.
I remember playing a match where my opponent had put out an Emrakul, and he had taken my turn. And then my next turn, I had top deck. I had already had a Panharmonicon on the field, and I had top decked a Noxious Gear Hulk, and I immediately played it and destroyed their Emrakul and just gained 13 life off of it.
Yeah.
And I destroyed another creature and gained life off of that as well. So it was definitely one of my favorite decks from that standard.
Looking through these cards, it's really cool to see like here's the various generations of Magic cards and how they all kind of come together. I was chatting with my stream a few weeks ago, and I was trying to remember that one card that was like, I remember reading an article that like someone was saying this is like the most saddest savage art that I've ever seen in a Magic card. Let me send it to you. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this particular card right here. Basically, it's the Dead Children card.
Yeah, Blessed Spirits. I remember we talked about that card in the Shadows block.
Yeah, it's like on so many levels, it's like such a gut punch kind of a card because you've got these like ghost children, and then the flavor text is "Not all heroes die in armor."
And it's a pretty cute card, but it's like cute and tragic at the same time.
Here's a conspiracy theory. One of the kids in the Blessed Spirits has actually come back as Tiny Bones.
That would be very funny. Also, why is Tiny Bones such a popular card?
People like cute things. I guess even cute dead things.
I guess it's like I saw it and it's just like, okay, this would probably be a cool commander card, and then next thing I know, it's just like this card is driving prices up for a lot of things for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I've read people's commentary on what kind of cool decks you can build in Commander with it, but yeah, definitely like so you never know what the market is gonna decree is like good for a variety of reasons, especially when you throw in Commander, where definitely there you can go CEDH route and do amazing things, or you can simply, well, I'm gonna make a deck full of unicorns, so I need that card.
Okay. I do know Tiny Bones. Definitely pairing it with what is that enchantment? I should know it because it's one of my favorite from M15. Waste Not.
Hmm.
That's silliness that would start happening.
But yeah, pretty cute. His like head's all askew, and he's holding some green energy or something. What is he stealing? He's stealing some sort of green mox or something. I wish we would get the super high quality versions of the art for some of these because you can easily lose the detail sometimes. Like, for example, I always blow people's mind when I tell them look carefully at Field of the Dead, and there's actually zombies in the cracks of the earth.
It's always, and that's always one reason why I like to look at, or I will specifically look for certain artists, um, like artist versions of the art from Magic,
Mhm.
because usually the little tiny rectangle just doesn't do it justice enough, and when you get to like enlarge it, it paints such a much different picture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool that we can have this sort of closer relationship with the magic artists, and they love sharing preliminary sketches and early versions, and like the artist that did the Kahira art, he showed his diorama of actually like like Play-Doh sculpted creatures that he built first to then paint the Kahira card.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely like the artist definitely put in like a lot of amazing work into their art,
Hmm.
and it definitely shows in these cards.
Yeah. Well, final thoughts on Jumpstart on a scale of how hyped are you on Jumpstart on a scale of 1 to 9,000?
Uh, I am going to say I am excited to play it in paper if I get the chance to. I am slightly less excited to play it on Arena because not all the cards will be there.
Yes, that's a fair answer. Hmm.
Unless they do like a Phantom draft like they have done before.
Yeah, like the cube that they had, that was Phantom Draft, so I don't know why they couldn't do that once in a while and, charge way too much gold. But yeah, Phantom Draft to actually be able to play that Reanimate and that Lightning Bolt and all the other too powerful stuff they're not putting
Yeah, if they
in.
did that, then it would definitely be fun. It would be fun to do.
Yeah. I guess they don't want to confuse people, but sometimes I feel like the to be honest, I think sometimes the excuse of confusing people is too much of an excuse. If it's confusing, and that's okay. People learn. If a child touches a hot something hot, they learn that hey, that's hot. It's dangerous. So if someone accidentally spends 10,000 gold on a thing and I don't get to keep the cards, well, it's just 10,000 gold. You'll get it back. Whatever you learned.
Mm-hmm. Just like the Arena Open, if you just go 0-3, then you just went 0-3, and you just get nothing.
Yes.
It's just how it is in a normal tournament. If you go 0-3 normal tournament, then congrats, you've earned a nothing.
Yes, except the memory of playing the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that might be fun to close things off. Usually, I don't do it too often, but I'm just interested in your thoughts. As we record today, did you hear about the banned and restricted announcement?
Yep, I've already been discussing it all day today.
Would you like to have one more final thought on it on this podcast?
Historic was incredibly reasonable. Pioneer was not.
Mhm.
Modern was expected.
Mhm. You seem to have forgotten everyone's other format, Pauper.
Uh, was something hit from Popper today? I very, I very rarely pay attention to Popper.
Pauper got hit with banning of Expedition Map, which is supposed to slow down Tron, and Mystic Sanctuary.
Oh yeah, Mystic Sanctuary. People been asking actually for that to get banned in Modern, which is weird. Because when you think about it, there's like so many, especially there's like a lot of grave hate for Modern where you can just shut Mystic Sanctuary off. So there shouldn't be really any like huge problem. But Expedition Map I can see. I didn't realize that Tron was such a huge problem in Pauper, but I guess so. It just goes to show what I know for the as far as that format.
Yeah, same here. I haven't really played it, but it's interesting just to keep up with all of the changes of everything, even if I'm not playing it. Like I don't really do much Modern and Pioneer, but that was interesting there. And so yeah, Pioneer. It's like let's keep that those inverter decks around a little longer, I guess.
Yeah, for some reason, Magic's Withers believes that the Pioneer format is healthy, even though it is either inverter or soul tie control. And it's just like, okay, well, here's an unban for Oath of Nest. It's just like, this isn't what this format needs. This format needs a way to deal with this deck that is very hard to interact with. Astrolabe in Modern, that needed to get hit. That definitely was necessary.
Chalk up another Modern Horizons card that was OP.
Yep, that's 2 now that got hit.
Well, we had Hogak, and now there's this, and I feel like either there were more that I guess got taken out, or it's just that everyone was talking about that there were just so many OP Modern Horizons cards, like Urza, Lord High Artificer, and such.
Yeah, I think Hogak and Astrolabe are the only 2. Bridge for Blow is not from that set.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's only one card I actually went off the unbanned list, and I know it's never coming off. It's just it'll never happen, unfortunately. And that's Eye of Ugin.
Eye of Ugin. That one, what does that do?
Eye of Ugin, that is the Eldrazi land. That makes Eldrazi cheaper.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, banned in Modern.
Yes, because Eldrazi Winter was a very strong thing, and no ban list Modern, when it was shown off, Eldrazi basically took over that format too, so it's just never coming off the ban list.
Yeah, it's like people have long memories. People talk about unbanned Splinter Twin and Twin did nothing wrong and so forth. But I think people just have really long memories.
People who say Twin did nothing wrong honestly have not really been on the opposing end of Twin playing a non-control deck. Twin definitely deserved its ban. And I remember like playing Magic before Twin got banned, and when I started getting into Modern, I played against Twin. I was just like, this deck is just miserable to play against because it basically like it's the same interaction over and over. It's oh, do you have nothing to stop me by turn 3? Well, I'll flash this in, and then turn 4 win. If you don't have anything to stop it, then congrats.
I think now people also kind of maybe say it ironically just because they hear their elders say it, and they weren't around when it was around, and with an influx of newer players, it's kind of interesting to see how Wizards deals with bannings of, Nexus of Fate. That one got it.
Nexus of Fate needs to be hit. And this is coming from a person who played that card in paper during Dominaria. Yeah, that card needed to be hit.
Yes.
I Can't even speak up for it as much as I played that card, and it was just it was a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think that was one of the last. It feels like that was one of the last cards where it mattered that it was a buy a box promo because it was slightly harder to get, I guess. Although you can always buy whatever card you want if you've got the funds for it. So I guess they thought because
it was only a buy a box promo. It did not appear in Dominaria packs whatsoever.
Yeah,
it was only in foil, and it was quite possibly the most aggravating card to deal with in that time if you did not specifically have single pay to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that is the only card that could deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean about, like, you can easily craft it, get all four of them in Arena, in digital. It's in Arena, it's just a wild card, and one mythic is as good as the other. But in paper, you had to do a little bit of effort to craft it, and I definitely would feel for people in paper if they spent time buying it and crafting it and playing it. But digitally, with the pros and the cons of it all, that, like, it doesn't even matter that it's a buy a box because, yeah, I'll just trade a wild card for it and I have it. I don't have to go out of my way to buy it, and I know I'm not going to crack it in a pack, and it's a buy a box promo. But on digital, it's like rarity almost doesn't even matter in a digital format, I think.
Rarity wild cards do kind of matter because, well, before they very much so did, because gold wild cards for rare cards were much harder to get than Mythic was. But now it seems like that is flipped. Seems like Mythic is now much harder to get than rares are.
I know at the moment I'm out of rares. I have one Mythic. I'm out of commons, and I've got like 90 uncommons.
I am out of Mythics, and I have 44 rares.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And I have 400 plus uncommons and 300 plus commons.
Do you think they'll ever do some sort of dusting system?
It'd be nice, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it.
Yeah, it does seem like some of these, like, really, really deep issues of Magic Arena, they might not be dealt with because they've got these other things to worry about, but I do applaud them for doing the real person draft and putting cube draft in there and all that stuff, and I guess eventually putting full-time Brawl, but now I want full-time Historic Brawl, so we always want stuff as Magic players.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's what pushes the game forward.
Yeah. Well, final thoughts on anything we've talked about or anything in the future? There's still Double Masters, but I don't know, that's for another podcast.
That's definitely going to be an interesting set to see during spoiler season. With Double Masters.
Where do you fall in the thought that a lot of people are saying there's too much product and it's like a hype week every week and spoilers every day?
Yeah, I don't listen to those people because that's the whole reason why we no longer have a Masterpiece series, and I'm upset about it.
You have to guide people to, I guess, the best profitability. So instead of it being a part of a lottery card in a booster, I guess, moving it to another will just get more people playing more Magic.
Yeah, it's pretty much instead of lottery cards being inside of a booster pack, now you have like an entire separate product full of lottery cards, and it kind of takes the allure of them being lottery cards.
Yeah. And then we're going to get the VIP booster, which is, I don't know exactly what's in it, but some of the prices floating around, I believe they said those are going to be about $100 a pack.
Yeah, that's going to be insane. I'm not looking forward to that, but also, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see if they're worth it when they come out.
Yeah. Or when we start to get the spoilers for them. I don't even know when the time period is for these ones coming up, but when I was browsing one of these online TCG stores, they had said, yeah, pre-order Double Masters, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, yeah, Double Masters. They previewed a few of those cards a few years ago, it seems. But yeah, that's coming down on the horizon.
Yeah, we still have a doubling. We know that doubling, doubling season, which is basically the poster card of Doubling Masters, is basically just going to be the main thing.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also Blightsteel in there because it's an 11/11.
So it's Colony of the Vast.
Okay. Yep. So plenty of Magic product to pine over or to play if you can get your hands on it, and in various ways. So thanks so much for being on the podcast. Tell people one more time, where can they find you online?
You can find me online at Twitter at _Omnia. That is KARPE_OMNIA. That is pretty much where I do most of my interaction / post of just random wild thoughts that I may have. You can also see me stream at twitch.tv/king_Omni. Mondays and Thursdays I do food cooking. Tuesdays and Wednesdays I do magic.
Very nice. Thanks so much for that. Thanks for being on the podcast again and getting your perspective on all of the cards that are out and coming out.
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast again. And Magic is kind of fun, except in Historic. If you are playing anything but Teferi, you're not having fun. If you're not playing all things Teferis, you're having the least amount of fun, and you should probably correct yourself.
You heard it here first. Teferi equals fun.
So much fun. I even went on a rant about that.
This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the arena.